Defense is impossible right now in college football 26 until you master the 5 secret tricks I'm sharing with you in this video. Whether you want a blitz to instantly sack the quarterback or you're tired of your defense being completely misaligned, I've got all the answers you need, so don't skip out on any of the tricks I have for you today. Let's jump right into it. The first defensive trick you need to master is a way to get instant sacks on the quarterback. Let me show you how to do that. And so the way that you're going to start getting instant sacks on the quarterback is going to be through user locking, all right? And the reason why this is valuable is when you pair this with custom stunts, like this one in particular from 3-3 Load Mug, the left pirate 3-man, right? I've talked about this. This is in my defensive ebook, more on that later, but all we're going to do, we're going to press D-pad up, right trigger, left stick down. D-pad up basically locks your user. You could also do the same thing by opening the custom stunts menu, but now you're able to press right trigger and left stick down. So D-pad up, right trigger, left stick down. Essentially, you're running down the line of scrimmage immediately without getting called for offside. So really why this is valuable, we take the snap, we spam A to get off the block, and really what that does is allows us to get that really quick pressure. Now, you are looking to get a 3-on-2 advantage over here on this left side, because what you're going to see is if you can get the attention of the center, there's going to be no one over there to block you. So again, they take the snap, spam A to get off the block, and then you're able to see we come in completely clean, really off both sides right there, but you know, coming in off the left side is going to be the most consistent thing for you. I mean, 75 just whipped on his block, but you see how I get the attention of 72, the center, by user locking, and then these guys over here, because of the stunt, we get our edge rusher right here, number 31, to come in completely clean and sack the quarterback. So that's really the trick. It's just user locking, because if you see, if I call this same blitz, but I don't user lock, you're going to see how the center is able to pick up those guys. Now, obviously, sheds are a thing, and you can still get quick pressure even if you decide not to user lock. But if you really want a blitz like this and other blitzes, really you can do this with really any blitz in the game, as long as you have more rushers on one side than they have blockers. Well, now user locking by, again, pressing D-pad up, right trigger, left stick down, is what's going to allow you to just run right into that man and then be able to get that looping pressure. You know, whether it's looping pressure or it's just he's just flying right through, it's going to really be the most consistent way. So really the most important thing is standing in a good spot with your user to be able to get the attention of the center and pass committing your defense. So again, same thing right here, where if he lets you come in free though, like it's user locking and you're running down to, you know, go get the center. But if you see like right here, he lets me come in free, I just run in. I don't turn around and go get back into coverage. I don't spam A to get off the block. I just go get the quarterback. So really user locking, press D-pad up, right trigger, left stick down, spam the A button on Xbox X on PlayStation to get off the block as quickly as possible. And then you're going to have a 3-on-2 advantage for easy quarterback pressure. All right, next I'm going to break down the best defensive settings to use, because if you're not using the right settings, all of the coverages, blitzes, none of it's going to matter. Let me show you which ones to use right now. Okay, so these settings that I want to focus on here are auto flip defensive play call. All right, we are going to make sure that we turn this on. We're going to have our cornerback matchups on balanced here, and then we have defensive motion response on disabled. All right, auto flip is going to make sure that your slot corner comes out on the correct side as the slot receiver. So if you flip the play, you can, or excuse me, if you turn it off, you can flip your play on defense, which if you guess wrong, you're going to be screwed. Like right here, I guessed wrong. This is my slot corner. Their slot receiver is Ryan Williams, so he's on the wrong side, and so our defense really is kind of misaligned here. You would like your slot corner to be lined up, because now if I try to man up Ryan Williams, I have to do it with a linebacker instead of being able to man my slot corner onto their slot receiver. So, you know, some blitzes, right, the one I just showed you before, I had auto flip turned off just because that's a unique use case, a unique situation, but for the most part, you just want to make sure you have auto flip turned on. You want your guys to come out on the same side every time. Cornerback matchups, you want to make sure this is on balance. If you put this on by speed, for example, by height, by route running, what's going to happen is your defense is going to, you know, just look like this, but then your guys are going to be crisscross. So boom, he's going to be here, he's going to be here. I mean, this is like a simulation of what could happen, where your guys are going to, like, let's just say their fastest corner is Brown and their fastest receiver is Ryan Williams. Well, now he has to follow all the way across the field to guard him, and you're safeties are crisscross, all of your zones are crisscross, and I'm sure this is happening to a lot of you guys, and you're wondering why this is the case. And it's just simply because, and of course, you know, they get an interception because of throw out a sack, but it's because your zones are just across the field and you can't actually you're not even going to be able to defend anything, right? If they put this man on a shriek, you notice how there's no deep half on this side. He's having to basically follow all the way across the field. Bray Hubbard's trying to chase this. Like, this is wide open, right? Obviously, throw out a sack right here, but if they have time to throw, it's like this is a wide open touchdown. So really the most important thing is making sure you have that on balanced, and not by height, by route running, by anything, because that can totally screw over your entire defense. But the last alignment setting here, and obviously there's other defensive settings that are important, but the alignment ones, getting those correct is most important, because if we, you know, put defense and motion response on disabled, that's going to prevent your zone defenders from following these receivers when they go in motion. So boom, we're going to see how we're in zone coverage. No one follows this man as he runs across the field, which is exactly what you want, because obviously if you had it on I think it's default, right? This could happen. I'm not going to say this is going to happen every single time, but this could happen too, where this man follows all the way across the field because he was lined up right over him. And again, same thing, where if, again, they put their slot receiver on a slot fade, he can get to the outside, and there is going to be no one on that side of the field, you know, over the top to be able to defend him. So it's like, you have to make sure that you get those alignment settings correct. Those are really the ones that everyone likes to skip out on, not really talk about, because you see it again. This man's in a deep half, or excuse me, an outside third, all the way across the field trying to follow, and he would just be late getting over here, getting over the top, and being able to guard that. So those first three alignment settings, which are really the most important ones to playing good defense, you need to make sure you have auto flip on. You need to make sure you have cornerback matchups on balance, and defense and motion response on disabled. Alright, so if you're finding these defensive tips helpful here so far this video, make sure you go down below and hit that subscribe button. You absolutely don't want to miss out on any of the content I have, because progressively you're going to start allowing less and less points every video you watch. So what are you thinking? Go hit that subscribe button. But if you want my full 4-3 multiple defensive ebook with the best written breakdowns, the best videos, the best screenshots, everything you're going to need to dominate on defense from this playbook, go to the link down below in the pinned comment. You can grab it today by using code YouTube to get 20% off. I can't wait to help you out on defense, and let's jump right back into it. And speaking of that ebook, let me show you a glitch blitz straight from the ebook as a preview. This is really going to help you get more pressure on the quarterback. Let me break it down. Alright, so the formation we're coming out in here is nickel 3-3 Cub, and we're going to come into Mike Blitz 0, alright? This is a go-to staple defense here in this game. You're shifting your defensive line left, and you're dropping your outside linebacker into a curl flat assignment. Alright, now, you have full freedom to do whatever you want as far as coverage, right? If you want to run a cover 3 cloud type of defense, right? You want to adjust it to something like this. Maybe you put a vertical, like you can do this, right? You can, you know, show, man, you're showing them cover 0 right here, but then you could drop into zone, or you could just leave it as man coverage. But the key is where your user's standing. You want to stand about 2 yards over the center, over his left shoulder, right? So right about here where Lawson's standing, and as soon as you see the ball is snapped, you're going to press your D-pad to the right to D-pad switch stick onto your outside linebacker here, who's dropping into the curl flat. Always pass to make your defense when you think they're passing, but we take the snap, immediately press D-pad to the right, and now you're able to see how that man off the edge is going to be able to come in free, simply because we're overloading one side of the offensive line, and we're going to be able to get that very quick, very routine pressure. So we're going to go through it again right here, pass commit the defense. This time I'm just going to leave them in man coverage, but boom, take it, immediately D-pad switch stick, and you just see how fast that pressure is. I would say recognition of when the ball has been snapped is really the most important thing. Obviously right now I'm snapping the ball for the offense, so I know when it's going to be snapped, but even in game, it's like you have to pay super close attention to when you can get off, because as soon as you can get off, you press D-pad to the right. Now you allow for this man to blitz, and it was exactly what I'm talking about in the first blitz, where if you can get the attention of the center, right, with the 3-3 load mug, right, it's the same thing, overloading one side. Your user occupies the center, and then you allow for these guys over here to play 3-on-2 on the left side, and the edge man comes in completely clean. The best part about it is, too, you're back into coverage with your user. So you D-pad switch it, you're back into coverage, you run down, you take away the table route, and then you're able to, guard everything else right here, around the field. You need to make sure that you're back into coverage with your user. Certainly, like, you can't just not lurk, right? That's why you don't want to user rush them. You want to be back into coverage. And if you can, you would want to have like a pass coverage type of guy right here, just so that when you get switched on, you can still be agile, still lurk and all of that. But it really just is simple, guys. Shift the D-line left, pass commit, stand in the correct spot, and D-pad switch it as soon as the ball gets snapped. Now, this time I'm going to have them block the running back, because that does change the numbers a little bit. That makes it a 4-on-4, and so it's a little bit easier for them to block. But the problem with that is, one, they don't have a quick outlet, right? Now you can put this top safety in a hook curl if you want to, because he doesn't have to guard the running back, right? And also, running backs get punished at the point of attack against outside linebackers, so it really does them no good. Take the snap, immediately press D-pad up, and then you're just going to see how Jay Miller steps up, but he's blocking nobody, and I'm back into coverage, right here, over the middle of the field, though. Instead of being out here on the sideline, I'm all the way up here to literally stand over the middle of the field, take away routes, and do whatever I need to do. So really, Mike Blitz 0, the best glitch blitz in the game, because it's just an overload blitz that the offensive line is going to have a tough time accounting for. Alright, before I jump to those final two defensive tips that you're absolutely not going to miss here at CFB 26, make sure you go down below, hit that subscribe button. Like I said, you don't want to allow any points in your next game, and watching these videos every single day is going to help you do exactly that. So what are you thinking? Go down below, hit that subscribe button, and let's jump into those final two tips. Because that next one is going to be a way for you to disguise your defense. If your opponent doesn't know what coverage shell you're using, it's going to be a whole lot harder for them to beat your defense. Let me show you how to use them correctly. Alright, so what I'm talking about here is going to be coverage shells, because this is really the most useful thing to be able to disguise your defense in this game. So obviously, as we know, right, cover 3, like we take Sam, strong safety, blitz 3, and we call this play. You see how there's a single high safety here on this play? Right, that can be a problem for you, because now anyone with a brain on offense, they read zone coverage, right? They see that you're going to just, allow a cover 3 beater, a corner out right here, wide open on the sideline, right? And you can just throw that possession catch if Ryan Williams wants to hold onto the ball, right? So that's going to be wide open on the sideline, and that's going to be a huge problem for you on defense. So really, the best way that you can kind of counter that is to open your coverage shells adjustments, right? And so really what you have to do, come into any play, any formation, and flick the right stick up or down. So really, I'm going to show you two great use cases for this here that I like using. So we're going to disguise our cover 3 defense as a cover 2, right? And so now what you're going to notice is, right, this just looks like too high. And what do we know about too high? Post routes, right? They're going to do a great job typically against too high of just splitting the middle. So what people could do is they could just take the snap, and if this was cover 2, X would be wide open, but now they go to throw it, and there's an inside third defender in the middle of the field to take it away, right? So it's like, okay, this looks like an easy cover 2 look. I just call it, and he gets open, but no, the whole time we just have an inside third defender dropping to the middle of the field and breaking that pass up while it's in the air. Also, you're going to be in cover 3 defense, and so you're able to, if you have a good user, right, I didn't have a user in the field, but you're going to be able to take away the underneath a whole lot better, especially, when you put hard flats in the field. So it's like, they're going to call their cover 2 beaters, right, they're going to call maybe, they're going to call like something like this, and then so they're going to try to look, boom, to X, but then X isn't going to be open because we just have a man dropping right there. Also, you can defend the seam still pretty well, just because you have this man dropping down. Like, you can just see where he's dropping to. So it's going to be tough for them to actually be able to get guys open, as long as because you're disguising your defense. You're showing them something that you're not really in. So that's really the first use case that I like, disguising your cover 3 as a cover 2 and making it to where they're less likely to throw those corner routes on the sideline because it looks like you're in cover 2, right? So that's the first use case. But then also, I like disguising my cover 2 as a cover 0, right? And so I save this for certain situations in the game, right? So we come into Tampa 2, we from 3-3 over, and we call a cover 0 shell with this. And really why this is useful is what you could do is this just looks like, if we're looking at this picture on offense, this looks like cover 0, right? We have these guys under 10 yards, right? They're lined up right over the top of our receivers. It looks like they're just going to be running man coverage on us, right? And so really what's going to happen for them on offense is they're going to call like a route concept like this that can only beat man coverage, right? So this wouldn't be a bad route concept against man because you have 4 man beaters. But really, against zone, it's going to be atrocious because all you really have to do is user underneath, right? So all you really have to do is take this away across the field, and now that crosser is not going to get open because there's no streak on the field to run off my deep half. Also, their corner route's not going to get open because there's no shriek to run off my deep half, right? You can just see how Bray Hubbard's here. This man is dropping here, so their corner route's taken away. I'm using the only guy that could really get open, their drag, and then their crosser can't get open across the field because this man is sitting here to take it away. Also, you could put a hard flat on the field. So basically, when you disguise your defense as a, really in this case, disguise your cover 2 as a cover 0, that's why I say only use this in critical situations, maybe 4th down, get them to call a really bad play, make a panic read, and we get off the field. But being able to disguise your defense, something that's really valuable, and you should play around with more coverage shells, but those are just 2 of the favorites of mine. All right, and that last defensive secret that I want to break down is actually debunking a myth that Civil, Decroft, and a lot of other creators are telling you right now. Do not use 10-yard flats. Let me show you why. Alright, so I'm going to show you really what this does for your defense, alright? We're going to put our flats on 10 yards right here, and we're going to call, let's just say or really it would be putting your curl flats on 10, which is really the same thing, from a cover 3 defense, alright? What you're going to notice is these guys, they're just immediately going to backpedal. So we just look at this play, we just have a whole bunch of streaks on the field, right? I want you to pay attention to this man right here, Brown, alright? You're going to see how he's going to immediately drift back to about 10 yards, and he's just going to be sitting there, all right? And so that's really obviously what you have your zone drop set to. The reason why I don't believe in this is because if you simply are to hike throw a flat, so if I just hike throw A, you can just notice how that pass is going to be open for easy 5-6 yards every time. So we're going to go through it again right here. So I put Ryan Williams on a flat, and I'm just going to instantly take the snap and throw it. You just notice that's terrible defense. That's not the point of a flat. Like, you need your flats to play way shallower. You can also see, even if I change it up, I put my running back on a table route this time, I throw it early enough. Now you can see how I'm able, that's a 1st down on a simple flat route, right? And if you had him on 5 yards, he would be playing that a whole lot tighter. But also, it's not just that. It's also that, okay, if I call this same play, right, against this defense, your corner route also gets open on the sideline. Your 10-yard flat's not going to defend a corner route. You can just call a flood concept with a shriek on the outside. You can have a corner route, and then you can just have your flat, right? And so it's right. It's like right here. Essentially, what I'm telling you is he's not guarding anything. This man, he's not actually guarding anything. Look, he's just drifting. This is open. If you throw this right off the snap, the reason they say to use these zones is because you play against people who might not hit the flat. But anyone who hits the flat just sees that this is open because they see this man's dropping immediately, and so you can just throw this, pick up, like I told you, 5-6 yards or a 1st down. But then also, obviously, he's not going to defend a corner out. It's like, in my opinion, this zone is useless. Instead, what you should just do is put hard flats in the field. So either set your flats to 5 yards, or you can custom zone, or you can just put default hard flats on the field. So you're just going to see how, okay, this time I'm going to put this man in a hard flat. Boom, just like this. That man's going to be in a hard flat. And look at this. He comes down immediately to guard this and gets an interception. Like I just showed you what 10-yard flats do. They backpedal immediately. But if you put hard flats on the field, they come down and they actually take stuff away. They're actually guarding that pass. You can't just hike throw a flat. Even if you put a running back taper out on the field, right, that hard flat's going to be there to take that away. So again, boom, hard flat this man, running back table route, and you're just going to see how we're right there to tackle him. He picks up 2 yards right there instead of picking up a 1st down like I showed you earlier. But then also, yes, that does still leave the sideline open, right? That's the whole point. But now what you're just going to do is you're just going to user it, or you're going to switch stick. So boom, you take it, they take away the underneath, I'm sitting here to take away their corner out. Look, the point of a flat is to take away the flat Or you can take away the deeper pass, so you can put your flats on 25 yards, run a cover 2 defense, and give up the underneath. But essentially, a 10-yard flat guards nothing. He's not guarding the flat, he's not guarding over the top, so it's really just taking advantage of players who aren't really good and don't hit checkdowns. But against someone who hits checkdowns right off the snap or is actually good at making reads, 10-yard flats suck. They don't guard anything, and you need to stop using them. Alright, so if you found any of those 5 defensive secret tricks helpful here in CFB 26, make sure you go down below, hit that subscribe button. I'm the only one right now breaking down CFB 26 tips and tricks for you guys every single day, and you don't want to miss out on any of the content I have. But if you want my full 4-3 multiple defensive ebook with even more blitzes, coverage shells, everything you're going to need to dominate on defense, go to the link down below in the pinned comment. You can grab it today by using code YouTube to get 20% off. It goes to the full videos, write-ups, screenshots, everything you need to dominate on defense, and I can't wait to help you guys out, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.